Good afternoon, creative warriors. Or let me take these off. I can hear much better without them. Welcome to the Warrior's Pen, episode 9. And today's title, first of all, I hope you're having a great weekend and enjoying the summer weather that we're having. It's in the mid 80s, almost 90s, so it's pretty hot out there. So I hope you're staying somewhere cool. And these episodes are coming a little secretively because just kind of going with the flow of summer, enjoying it. So before we jump into it, I just want to thank you for being here, watching, and supporting and enjoying these episodes. And I want to advise you that if you get something from these episodes, that you don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and share with someone who you think might get something from it. Uh, let's see. Get my coffee. Okay. So welcome to the Warrior's Pen. I'm going to spend about 10, 15 minutes here just talking about the next episode, which is episode 9. This is an episode, many authors, many writers, many creatives struggle with this. And the title of this episode is Perfectionism is Fear. Perfectionism is just a very fancy way to describe procrastination and fear, but it's really fear at its base. I think we've all been guilty of it. Whether your creative expression is writing, painting, sculpting, whatever your creative expression is, at some point, fear, or as Stephen Pressfield likes to call it, resistance, steps into the picture. And you're going to have a moment where you're going to think it's not good enough. My standards, this is a real good one. My standards are too high for me to release this the way it is. No matter what the reason or excuse is that comes up, at the end, at the bottom, at the core, it's all based in fear. So let's discuss that today. So you call it having high standards. And that's fine. You may have high standards, and that's good. You should have high standards. When you're beginning in any of your creative endeavors, your high standards don't really match the work that you're going to produce. You're going to suck. That's a nice way of saying whatever you create is going to suck. That's just the nature of creativity. That's just the way it is. You have to, in my creative expression as a writer, as an author, you have to write out the suck, basically. You have to write it out, get it out of your system before you get to something that might resemble good writing. You have to write out the suck. That's just the nature of it. I'm sure you have to paint out the suck or sculpt out it's every part of creativity has that aspect in the beginning. As you're learning, as you're finding your style, as you're finding your voice, it's there. You have to get it out of your system. And that means you're going to stumble every so often. And the perceived creative expression and the actual creative expression are not on the same level, right? So your standards may be high, but your creative expression still cannot meet the standard. So you call it having high standards? Basically, it's fear. So what's the real fear that you have? Okay. I'm just going to list these off, and you let me know if this applies to you. The fear of judgment. What are they going to say? I'm going to use writing because that's what I do. What are they going to say? They're going to say the story's horrible. The story sucks. It's ridiculous. The characters, I don't care about those characters. It's just going to be a lot of judgment across the board. No one's going to like it. It's horrible. Why even do this? That's one. The fear of mediocrity. Oh, it's not as good as, and that whole comparison is the death of pretty much everything. But it's not as good as that author. It's not as good as that author. I'm mediocre. I'm below average. People are going to hate it because it's just so bad. This is, and understand that most of these fears are in your head, not real. They're created. They're imagined, right? It just takes a long time to kind of understand that. Then you have the fear of exposure. I don't want to put my work out there. What if, they start talking about this and they start saying this, and whatever the case may be, you're scared of putting your work out there. And something that I learned a long time ago. Authors, people who are creative, people who really are, who want to be about that creativity, you ship. You don't make it perfect, you make it great, you make it good, but you ship, you get it out there, right? Don't worry about the exposure. Just get it out there. Perfectionism, this is something that I've learned in my own life. Perfectionism delays evaluation. The longer you take polishing, the longer you take fixing, the longer you take revising, editing, re-editing, re-editing the editing, it's just, you're just delaying the evaluation, and that delay feels safe because you're feeling like you're busy, you're doing something, you're actually moving, and you're working on the project, and just one more pass, one more set of edits, and then I'll get it out there, and that feels safe. But that is not what you need to do as a creative, especially as an author, as a writer, right? So remember that in these episodes, in the Warrior's Pen, we blend the warrior philosophy with the discipline of writing. Okay, so the warrior frame. So let's switch a little bit here, and let's apply this into a warrior mentality. Okay, and I want you to come with me on this. A blade is tested in use. So unless you actually cut with the blade, you don't even know if it's an effective blade. You may sharpen it, but you have to actually use it. A blade is tested in its use. That's how you know if it's an effective blade, whether it's a samurai sword or actually a kitchen knife. The chef knives, they make sure they polish, they sharpen those knives to the best of their ability. But then they don't just let it sit on a counter. They take those same knives and they start cutting food with it. They use it. You don't admire the blade in theory. You don't leave it sitting on a shelf and say, well, that's a fantastic blade, look how sharp it is. You don't know because you've never used it. In terms of the samurai or any swordsman, if a swordsman refused combat until it was perfect, he would never draw his blade. Let me say it again for you. If a swordsman refused combat until perfect, he would never draw his blade, because perfection, you can't attain it. You can aspire towards it. You can try to reach for it, but you can't become perfect. At some point, the blade has to be drawn, right? Okay. So, how do you apply this? How do you take this and start using a strategy to utilize this concept of the blade being used? So, draft ugly. I know this sounds, and this is going to raise so many hackles, because I know some writers, some authors want everything to be perfect from the first draft on, which is, it can't. I want you to, if you grasp anything from this episode, try to remove the concept of perfection from your brain. It doesn't exist. It can't happen. Your writing can't be perfect. Your creative endeavor can't be perfect from the first draft. So it can't be perfect. I'm sorry to break it to you, but it can't be perfect. It could be good. It could even be great. I will even go so far to say it could be phenomenal, but it can't be perfect. So draft ugly. And yeah, it sounds rough, it sounds harsh, but that's the way it is. Draft ugly, and then when you revise precisely. I did not say perfectly, precisely. Okay, so draft ugly, revise precisely. Separate your identity from the output. This is really hard for writers, especially because you put everything of yourself into the story, into whatever you're creating. So separate your identity, who you are as a writer, from the output, from the work that you're creating. You are not the work. You're the one that's making the work. So you separate your identity from the output. And in the beginning, it's hard because your output sucks. That's just the nature of what it is. Yeah, the output is pretty bad, that output. And so you initially associate that you as a writer are bad or horrible or suck or are talentless or whatever negativity you want to heap upon yourself. And that's not the case. The case is that you're a craftsperson, that you're a creative, and that you're learning the process, but that process takes time. And so you have to separate who you are from what you're creating. And while you're doing that, you're working on your craft. You're working on the craft of writing. You're working on the craft of painting. You're working on the craft of sculpting, or whatever creative craft that you're learning, that you're studying, that you're getting better at. And then eventually, over time, the output becomes better. And then you'll be okay with that. You'll be like, yeah, it took me a long time to get to where I'm at. I'm an overnight sensation in 10 years. That's usually how it happens. So don't don't intermix the two. Don't confuse the two. You are not your output. You're the person creating something. Okay. So to close this up, because I want to kind of give you short, actionable episodes. Understand, perfection is delay, and delay feels safe, but it's not going to get you to where you need to get to. You need to ship. You need to get it out there into the world. Okay. Progress is power. So create that book, get it to the best of your ability, move to the next book, to the next story. Get that one to the best of your ability, and so forth, and rinse and repeat and get it out there advanced. And above all things, right? Forge better stories. So just keep forging. You're in there, it's like a sword. You're hitting hammering that sword and creating the best sword possible, but it doesn't sit on a shelf. It gets out there. You want to see if it actually can work, if it can cut, if it's a true working sword, and if it's not just a decorative thing. So our work is just like that. We want to get it out there. We want to get it out to the world. We don't want to succumb to the fear. Don't worry about the fear of judgment. Don't worry about the fear of being mediocre. Don't worry about the fear of exposure. Those fears. Oh, and there's always all that other fear, which is this one is really insidious. The fear of success. What if it does make it big? What if everyone really loves it? There's no way I could match doing that again. And that one undermines a lot of writers, a lot of authors. So I want you to kind of take these ideas, put them to work. Okay, employ them, adapt them, use them, and understand, always understand that as a creative, you're going to start out where your standards might be up here, but your output may be way down here. And that gap, bridging that gap, is what takes the work, right? But you remember that you're never your output. Understand? You're not the output. You're the person creating something amazing, and it takes time, a lot of time in many cases, for the output to match what the creator has in their mind. Those two things rarely match up in the beginning. Got it? All right. That's all I have for you today. That's our closing. We close with that, and I really just want to tell you to jump into that forge and forge better stories. It takes sweat, it takes tears. I don't want to say blood because that's a little bit more macabre, but it takes work. It takes a lot of work, and you, in many cases, have to be your hardest critic and your harshest taskmaster. But you're the one that has to do it, okay? And if you do it, you won't have to worry about what anyone else is going to think because you're doing it. And have a great rest of your day. It was great seeing you, and I'll be seeing you soon. These will be dropping periodically this month, and then it gets more structured in September. So have a great rest of your weekend. Take care. Forge better stories.